Hello everyone, Josh here with X's Games, bringing you guys a gear guide video for Awaken Chaos Era. We're going to be going over all things gear related today in today's video. If you guys do enjoy these guides, the game is still currently in its final closed beta test. Release will be coming later this year. Don't forget to subscribe, check notifications, and join us in Discord below so you don't miss anything. That, of course, is Awaken Chaos Era. This could be the next big game. I hope it is. So you don't want to miss out. Go ahead and start all your research right here at X's Games. So with all that said, let's dive right into it. The first thing we're going to look at is one of my units that I already have built up pretty well with gear that I feel is suited to her and her skill set perfectly. So you'll know right off the bat that gear in this game, there's 6 slots. You're going to have your weapon, your helmet, your chest, your boots. You're going to have your ring and your necklace, okay? So your 6 pieces of gear. And every piece of gear belongs to a set. So for example, we're running a rage set. We have 4 pieces of rage set, which gives plus 20% crit rate. That's the bonus stat. And then down here for the accessories, we're running a 2-piece warrior set, which is an attack set that gives 15% attack. Now, there are I believe two different sets in the game that are 2-piece sets that cannot be stacked. I believe one of them is the immunity set. And there was another one I can't remember right off the top of my head here, but you get the idea. But the rest of the 2-piece sets currently at this time can be stacked. So for example, this attack set, I could make this 45% attack by running 6 pieces of this gear. However, the way I built my Asrina, I want her to have a lot of crit on top of damage and crit damage. I want her to be an absolute masterclass in the art of DPS. So you can see here we're getting that 20% crit rate, which is very helpful among 4 pieces of gear. Now you'll see here she has 29 speed on her boots. Speed on your boots will be a very popular choice going forward for a lot of your units, but there's going to be certain units that you don't need to be fast. Like, you don't use them in an environment where they need to be quick. My Asrina is part of that problem right now for my gear, because I don't actually have another pair of boots that I could use for her that are rage set and have good substats, that have attack as a main stat instead of speed. So that's something that I would want to personally change later on. So those are things that you definitely want to look into when you're building your gear. Sometimes you're going to be moving your gear around 100 times a day, 1,000 times a week, and 1,000,000 times a year, because you're always going to keep evolving your perspective on how you want your gear to be for your character and how you want to use that character in that particular role. But I just want this video to be more or less a foundation. So, stepping away from gear for a moment, we're going to look at Asrina's base stats. So she has an S grade for attack, B for health, C for defense, B for speed, and A for crit rate. So if you take everything out of context, you don't look at any other context except for just these grades, you're going to know right off the bat that Asrina is built to be an attacker. She has really good crit rate and really, really good attack. S is the highest grade possible right now available in the game for a grade on a stat. So she's going to have really good attack potential. But this is part of the problem here. This is part of the equation, the bigger picture that a lot of you may not be aware of. This is only half the battle. Knowing what stats are going to scale the best with your gear, because all gear is going to scale back from the base stat. So if your base stat is low, no matter how much gear you put into that stat, it's still going to be low because it's scaling off of that as the base. So if you have 1,000 attack and you got 10,000 attack coming from your gear, you're only going up 100. So you're gonna have 1,100 total attack. You see what I mean? But if you have 100 attack and let's say 100% attack from your gear, you're only gonna go up to 200. So your base stat is super, super important when it comes to like kind of identifying what type of gear to build. But that's only half the story, only half of the puzzle, a piece of the puzzle, if you will, because the abilities are going to be an even bigger factor, because there's going to be certain characters where the abilities are going to overshadow the actual stat distribution, where you're going to be focusing more on building gear for the ability over the stat. Some it's going to be a stat over ability, and some it's going to be about 50-50. So for her abilities, for example, she is built completely around igniting. And what igniting is it basically does burn damage based on your caster's attack. So for her stat sheet lines up well with her abilities. So she wants to be a DPS powerhouse. She wants high attack, high crit damage. So what we did is we gave her gear specifically for that. So she's getting high crit from this. She's getting crit from her ring as well, from the main stat, and she's getting crit damage from the necklace. and you get a these substats right here. You get a substat every 3 levels. So level 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. You could call them levels, enhancement, whatever you want to call it, but that is how it works on the gear. As you can see here, we have a plus 12 on our weapon. That means we have 2 rolls that go into attack, 1 roll, 1 into HP, and 1 roll, 1 into speed. Okay, so that is why we build our Serena the way we build her, because we build her on the fact that her skills and her stats are telling us clearly, clear as day, that she's a DPS, she wants to do damage, so we gave her the gear to do so. Very simple, right? Now, it's not going to be always just cut and dry. Some units, you could build multiple different types of gear for them, and it all works for various different reasons, depending on what the role is and what the content is you're trying to clear. So there's also going to be, you know, exceptions to that rule as well. So you just want to be very, very careful. Just make sure you read everything and you understand what that character is going to be used for in your team. Okay? So with all that said, I'll briefly show you the stats. 93% crit, 213 crit damage, over 5400 HP, and then almost 2200 attack, and she's only 5-star, 2 times awakened. All right, so just keep all that stuff in mind when you're building up your gear. Now let's go ahead and talk more about gear individually. So if we go over here to our inventory, we're gonna look at some of our spare gear. So you can see here we have various different sets. These are all, you know, 3-star, 4-star, 5-star. There's even 1 6-star gear just flown up here. You can see all the different sets that they belong to. So you're going to notice something real quick. They're different colors. We have green gear. We have blue gear. We have purple gear, orange gear. You go down here, we even have gray gear. Okay? I just want to tell you guys something right now. Now, this is from personal experience, playing a lot of different closed betas for Awaken Chaos Era, going into release. Don't level up 1-star gear. 2-star gear, even 3-star gear. If you want to invest in gear early, for whatever reason, you get stuck, or you just need it real quick for something to clear, don't invest in any gear under 4-star. 4-star is the cutoff, because you're going to get more than enough gear from normal story. You're going to be getting 4- and 5-star sets from normal story that are going to be very good gear that will take you through normal if you have the right team build and you invest in your characters and stuff like that, especially if you're utilizing the 2 starters like Evelyn and Zachary. Both phenomenal units. Even Ellison's a really good pickup. You can even use a unit like Marion for the gear dungeon that we're going to be momentarily talking about soon. And that's a lot of fire units. That's a lot of firepower, because they're very, very good elite units. They're going to be cheaper to build up, cheaper to get dupes for. And like I said, you're going to be getting gear from normal. So do not invest in gear, guys and gals out there, that is not at least 4 stars or higher. It's just a waste of your resources. And I'm going to tell you, well, actually, I'm going to show you why it becomes an even bigger problem later on if you invest in those crappy sets of gear, thinking that you're going to just use those, you know, for EXP later on. Nope. And we're going to show you right now. So if I go ahead and grab a pair of boots, I'm just going to grab a 4-star purple pair of boots, epic boots if you want to call them. You can see here that we need 1,150 EXP to level those up once. Now, as I've said before, you get a substat increase every 3 levels. So I'd have to level this up 3 times to roll into a substat. Then I'd have to do it at 6, 9, 12, and 15. And while we're on this subject, you'll notice that, gray weapon, or I'm sorry, gray gear does not have a substat already predefined. Blue gets 2, green starts with 1, purple starts with 3, and orange starts with 4. So obviously legendary would be the best because you already see the 4 stats you want. Now in certain situations, the lower tier gear might be better suited for you, especially if the first like substat available is one that you want the most and you want to go into that. So if you see like a good pair of 5 or 6-star green, blue, or even purple, you know, pieces of gear that have a really strong starting 1 or 2 substats, you're gonna have a better opportunity in the very first couple of rolls to go into those than you would on epic and legendary gear that already start with 3 and 4 substats. So there are going to be, again, more exceptions to the rules. There's a lot of exceptions to the rules in this game, guys and gals, depending on your situation. But the big problem I have here with investing into lower tier gear is you're not going to be getting a lot of EXP from it. It's unfortunate. You're going to be getting way more EXP from these charms, which you can get from various quests and events and the bartender shop and even the cash shop. These are going to be the things that are going to be giving you the most EXP in the game by far. Gear, not so much. Because, like, if we look at this, we have 4-star blue. It's going to give us 500 EXP. 4-star purple is also 500. Not good. 5-star purple, 700. 5-star legendary, 700. So, they're not giving you gear EXP based on the rarity or grade, if you will, depending on what you want to call that, between that and the star ratings. They're only basing it on whatever the star level is. So that's not good. Excuse me, I had to take a moment. I was like coughing up a lung. But anyways, so it's not good. The EXP right now in the game is not a good place to be. Hopefully they change this going into global release, because we cannot be having 700 EXP coming from both epic and legendary gear, when obviously legendary gear is harder to drop and has way more value than epic gear does. We cannot have that. That's just not going to fly going forward. And even gray, look at gray gear. 350, purple gear, 350. Not good. So that has to change. These two should definitely be way different in terms of EXP being given. And again, I said, if you have gear that already is a little bit leveled up and you think you're going to get EXP out of it, matter of fact, let me show you guys something. So let's go to this, weapon right here. You need 500 EXP for this weapon, right? Well, you're going to get 350 from 3-star gear. 4-star gear will give you 500. So this will level it up one time. Now look at this gear. This 1 star that's leveled up plus 4. You're getting a whole whopping 870. And it has 4 levels in it. Not good. You're not going to get very much EXP from that. And in case you're wondering how much it takes to level one of these pieces of gear up at 1 star, for an example, let's go back here. And let's actually go to this 1-star gear. You can see here, it's 500. Okay? It's 500. And like I said, you're going to get 870. And this has been leveled up 4 times. And I'm going to do this as an example. So I'm going to go ahead and throw these in here. I'm going to level this up. Now you need 600. So now you're up to 1100 total EXP. Let's keep going. Let's just throw this in here. Okay, now if we're heading to level 3, we're going to need an additional 720. So you're going to be needing like around 2,000 plus just to level that gear up 3 times. This piece of gear right here has 4 levels into it, which means it has well over 2,000 to 3,000 EXP total into it. But if you go to use it as fodder, you're only getting 870. So you guys are seeing right now, the EXP, there's definitely a problem with gear. So you're going to be very, very careful in how you want to level up your gear, because it's going to be very hard. It's going to be very troublesome, and you don't want to invest into gear that you're not going to use. So my recommendation, again, only work on 4-star gear or higher. Preferably 5-star when you can start getting into it. And we're going to talk about where to get that from right now. So if we go down to dungeon, you'll have the Arcane Dominator. By far the best farming location in the game right now, especially for starting out, is Roaring Tulpa. Now this is a wood, earth, grass type boss, which means fire units are going to be very, very effective. And guess what? You get a lot of good fire elite units right off the bat from the start of the game, like Evelyn and Zachary. And Zachary by far is the best elite right now still in the game, unless they change something for the release. And he's going to carry you very, very far. So he's going to be an elite that you definitely want to invest a lot of resources into, because he's going to carry you quite a bit. Now, if you're if you're going to spend a lot of money, then obviously your choices will expand further into like epics and legendaries. But for free-to-plays exclusively, Zachary is going to be your go-to, and he's going to help you farm quite a bit of these stages of Tulpa. Now you need to understand one thing though. As we've already talked about, gear EXP is being dictated by the star level of the gear. So if you're looking to get a lot of gear fodder to feed into some of your higher tier gear to level them up so you can utilize them and make your units better, you're going to want to try and get to the highest stage possible, even though it costs, more stamina. Like for example, Tulpa is 3 to 5-star drop on stage 8. Stage 8 is very doable in the first 2 to 4 days, depending how well you farm and how much you build up your Zacharys, your Evelyns, or any other fire units that you might pick up along the way. you should have no problem being able to farm stage 8 within 4 days. And I can say that very comfortably because I've done it multiple times. It's not that hard. And you can do it 100% free to play using some of the units that I've already mentioned. And this is going to give you access to 3 and 5 stars. Do not level up 3-star gear to use it. Level up the 4-star and the 5-star drops. And I recommend the best way to check for substats is to level it up to +6. And if it doesn't roll into 2 good stats right off the bat, scrap it and move on to another piece of gear. Don't invest too much time and energy into a piece of gear trying to take it to +9, +12, +15 for it to just get bad rolls, and then you just waste all those resources. My best bet that I can give you, the best advice, is to, again, take it to +6. Take it to +6, see what it did, and if it's not good, drop it. Easy. And do not invest into any legendary gear if it has more than 1 flat stat. If it has 2 flat stats, do not touch it. Because again, now you're putting yourself in a bad situation where you have a 50% chance every roll to go into a bad stat. You don't want that. You want to go for the percentages more so than the flat stats, unless it's speed, precision, or agility. Those are 3 good stats that are flat. Okay? But for the most part, you're going to want to go into percentages. Percentages. You want to look at the main stat. If the main stat's bad, then it's already garbage gear. If it's got a good main stat and good substats, then it's worth investing into. +6. See how it goes. Scrap it. Keep it. Move on. Rinse and repeat. And that is kind of the approach you're going to be taking long term. Now, when you're able to start building up enough 4 and 5-star gear and your units are starting to look really, really good, then go to stage 9 Tulpa. This is where we're going to be getting 4 to 5-star gear. So at worst case scenario, you're getting 4-star gear. And 4-star gear is going to be giving you decent EXP as fodder, worst case. Opposed to 3, 2, and 1-star gear, which is not going to give you much EXP at all. Because again, EXP is dictated by the star level, not the actual rarity of the grade of the gear. So there you guys go. That is pretty much all there is really to understand about gear. Obviously, substats are going to be a whole other thing. We could talk about stats and maybe I'll make a video just talking strictly about stats. I know it's kind of part of gear, but it's also part of units as well. And there's a lot of things that I want to go into about just stats alone that aren't really going to be related to the gear per se. So I might say that for another video, but I hope you guys all enjoyed this gear guide video. I tried to give you guys as much information as I could on certain places where you can get gear. Obviously, we didn't go over everything, but you guys got a good general idea. If you're starting out, you're a free-to-play or a casual spender, you can get gear from normal story. You know that there are multiple different types of gear sets. Oh, and by the way, before we go, another thing that really benefits Tulpa is Tulpa has one of the best universal sets of gear available. Speed, HP, and crit rate. You can use all 3 or a combination of these 3 on pretty much every unit in the entirety of this game. And I'm not joking. So that is very, very good. Later on, when you start getting, a stronger team and more versatile teams, or maybe even multiple teams, you can start getting into more of these niche gears. Now, I will say attack isn't niche, but for the most part it is. And plus the other 2 gear sets that are in there are super niche, so that's why Tulpa is just highly recommended. This is the way to go because it's more universal gear opposed to just more like specific gear. So that's why Tulpa is going to be highly recommended. I think a lot of people is going to be recommended Tulpa to you. Not to mention you get to start with 2 fire units that are very good for that particular boss in the first place. So it all just works out. It's really nice. It's like a nice little package deal that you're being offered for free right off the bat that can help you progress as long as you do it right. Take some of the advice from this video and go out there, explore, have a great time. Hopefully you guys get some good gear drops. Again, be careful, be cautious. Don't be investing into gear more than +6 if it is a gear that you're even worth investing into in the beginning. And make sure you keep an eye on EXP because you don't want to throw a bunch of EXP into a piece of gear you're not going to use. So make sure you're building up gear for characters that you're going to be using long term and not just sporadically. And also, another big thing before we go, try to build up sets of gear that you can use on multiple units for multiple different content, because now you're adding more value to that gear than it already had, because now you can use that same gear on multiple units that you are building up, making it much more worthwhile and the investment that much better. So again, hope you guys all enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe, take notifications, and join us in the Discord. In the description below, my voice is about to get shot, so I bid you all adieu. Until next time, peace.